name's Paul, also known as Some Artist, and I basically picked the name so that I wanted people to focus on the work. Yeah, I've been doing my art for about 12 years. Seriously, I've been doing art since I was a little kid, but I decided this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life about 12 years ago, and just been running towards it since.
You've probably seen the works of Toronto street artists at locations such as Graffiti Alley and Yonge Square.
It's that rattle of the spray can that leads to some of the city's most vibrant works of art. Some people love it, some people hate it. Many criticize it, others make a career out of it. Ronnie Lebeau is an advertising director turned graffiti removal company CEO. After addressing graffiti removal inquiries from his clients one too many times, Lebeau decided to open gun blasters.
I can walk down 3 city blocks and there's 140 different walls that they're asking me to remove.
Lebeau makes his money off of graffiti, but can still appreciate the art.
The ones that are actually full artists, even if it's a massive, vandalized school or something, if it has any artistic quality, I actually kind of feel bad about removing it. I'm kind of to me, it's a love-hate relationship because on one hand, it's pure vandalism to me, and on the other hand, that's why I have a business.
While for some graffiti, and its removal, is simply a means of income, graffiti has its roots in a way for the voiceless to speak up and out.
It hit me hard when you see those images of what happened to him, and I had a reporter on the day basically ask me, they're like, why would you paint him? Right? People are saying, there's controversy over his character and the person he is and the things he might have done. And I told him very, very basically, it doesn't matter. He was a person, right? He could have been a murderer. You don't know. Nobody was given due process, right? It's if that doesn't atone to everybody else, I don't know what does.
Paint the City Black is a movement started by Toronto graffiti and mural artists shortly after the murder of George Floyd in 2020. From Paint the City Black came a book to document the art created. Event organizer and photographer Nick Sweetman and Mark Siegel say the movement is important and will stand the test of time, but that spray paint isn't permanent.
Paint the City Black came from the black squares on Instagram. So when George Floyd was murdered, there was a huge kind of outcry from society. Had the idea to do this in Graffiti Alley, so one of the kind of most colorful parts of downtown. And so it's usually this very colorful place, and Moises and another artist called Fade had the idea to black out Graffiti Alley.
I think the importance of documenting it relates to the uniqueness of the event and the circumstances around it, and also to the depth and persistence of the problem that it's addressing. This issue, regardless of the outcome of the George Floyd situation in particular, the overall problem of racism and intolerance in society, unfortunately, is stubbornly persistent.
Adrian Hales is a fellow Paint the City Black artist who muralized Regis Korchinski-Paquette, an indigenous Ukrainian Black Canadian woman who fell 24 stories and died after police arrived at her apartment following a domestic disturbance 911 call.
Regis, her story was so complicated, given her personal history as well as the situation that surrounded her demise. Her brother, of course, reached out to me when I initially wanted to do the piece, and I got to talking to them just to get their perspective.
For Hales and many other artists, street art and graffiti is a combined culture of social justice and painting.
They go hand in hand. If you think of graffiti, think of New York and Bronx and pieces that were done there. There were a lot of those pieces where people was voicing they were protests. There were protests. There were protests on walls. You think of the spaces that graffiti often occupies. It's a lot of claim for space. So it's a lot of saying I matter.
And graffiti writers are the backbone of any city, right? They put art in your face.
The definition of graffiti is writing or drawings scribbled, scratched, or sprayed illicitly on a wall or other surface in a public space. The definition of vandalism is an action involving deliberate destruction to public or private property. The line between the two can be blurry, but Hales puts it simply.
I think the only crime is ugly. Somebody came up on the wall of your building and did the most amazing, most beautiful, most passionate, it brought tears to your eyes. Would you say that's vandalism? There's beautiful and there's ugly. And I think the consciousness is ultimately that really drives what is created. You know what I mean? Like, you think of it as like a gun in a hand. It's never the gun that's the problem. It's the consciousness behind the gun. So spray paint, painting, whatever creative outlet is, it's always the consciousness behind it.
Vandalism, after all, is how the culture started.
People ask me all the time, are you afraid of like your pieces getting tagged? That's where it lives. It lives outside, right? It lives in the public domain. And if a vandal, if a writer wants to go and tag that up, that's their prerogative. Art on the street lives and dies in the street.